No, Ravi, all good from my end.
Okay. So just a quick recap of what we did yesterday. So yesterday we've looked at your SES and SNS and SQS service, right? So both are your messaging services. We can use them to send out or kind of, we use it mainly for the notification purpose. Now your SES, it follows a queue system. All right. So you have a queue, you store the messages in that queue, and then you'll have a producer application and you'll have a consumer application which will consume those messages or basically process those messages. And then we have your SNS, which is your simple notification service. So at any point, if you want to send out any email notifications, or if you want to send out any text notifications or any push notifications, we can make use of your SNS service for that. So we saw an example as well for that. uh, we sent a text notification to Prokshit's phone number, and we also saw an example for your email notification. So that's where we had stopped yesterday. Now, in today's session, we will start off with your next service, which is your SES. All right. So SES, it stands for Simple Email Service, and as the name suggests, this is also a email service. Now, very important to understand here is your SNS is also used to send out the email notification. Your SES is also used to send out the email notification. What's the difference? Both are sending out the email notification, right? So what's the difference between them? Well, the difference is that with your SNS notification, you will be using the Amazon's domain, all right, to send out the notifications. AmazonAWS.com domain to send out the notifications. Now, if you want to use your own domains to send out the notification, for example, let's say I work in PlanView, right? So if I want to send out a notification with planview.com domain, then I can make use of the SES service for that. So this service, it helps us to send out a notification using our own custom domain. So this can be useful if you have like your own company and you want to send out notifications from your official email ID, or you want to send like an official email notification, then you can make use of your SES service. Now, one important thing to remember with your SEO service is, to begin with this, you will need to have your domains. All right, the let's say in this case, google.com, for example, right? You will need to have the domain registered. Only then you will be able to send out the notifications. Now, I will be talking about your domains when we come to the Route 53 service. There, I will be showing you how you can register a domain, and we'll talk more about your domains over there. But for now, I already have a domain. All right, so I've used this Hostinger, which is a domain registrar. Again, we will be talking about all these things under your Route 53. But the point here is you will need to have your domain registered. So whatever the domain that you want to use to send out the notification, you will need to have that domain registered. So in my case, I have a domain registered over here, and this is the domain, cloudtechies.cloud. Now let's say I want to send out notification using this domain. Then I can make use of the SES service. Does that make sense? Any questions?
No.
All
So
good, sir.
all right. So SCS is also an email platform, and this helps us to provide an easy, cost-effective way for us to send out and receive email notifications using our own email address and our own domains. For example, you can send marketing emails such as special offers, or transactional emails such as order confirmation, and other types of correspondence such as newsletters. So all of these things can be done by making use of this SES service. So when you use Amazon ACS to receive email, you can develop software solutions such as email autoresponders, email unsubscribe systems, and applications that generate customer support tickets from incoming emails. So with this service, you only pay for what you use. So you can send and receive as much as little email as you like. So here you're going to pay for the notifications that you're going to send out. All right. So to begin with this, first you need to verify your domain, the domain that you're going to use. So let me show you how you can set this up. So here you need to first create an identity. Identity will be your domain over here. Okay, so we'll go to create identity, and you can choose a domain or you can choose an email address. Now email address will be the one to whom you want to send out the notifications, and domain will be the domain that you want to use to send out the notifications. So in my case, the domain is this one, right? So I'll take this domain and I will provide that over here. Okay. And we're just going with the default settings. We're not doing anything over here, and click on create identity. Now what this will do is this will create few records for us. So we have something known as records. Again, I will be talking about this under your Route 53, but we have this CNAME records. Now what we have to do is we have to take these records and add it in the domain registrar, the domain where we have registered it. So let's go to manage, and here you can see this DNS or name servers, and here we start adding. So we are going to add a CNAME record, and we just have to copy this name and value, the respective name and value that we have. We just have to add that one after the other. So I'll add this. Likewise, we'll take the second one. Again, this is going to be a CNAME, the name, the value. We'll add this, and then finally the last one. So again, this is going to be a CNAME, name, and the value. So this is for the see, because here we are using a domain, that domain needs to understand that, hey, I want to send out a notification using the domain, right? So for that we make use of the CNAME record. So this CNAME records does the routing and everything for us. Again, like I said, I'll be talking more on this later on. All right, but once you're done with this will take some time, but eventually you should here you can see this identity status. This is verification pending, so we'll have to wait for this. Okay, so this verification pending needs to be confirmed. Only then you will be able to send out the notifications. Until that verification is not done, you won't be able to send out the notification. So this is still pending, so this will take some time. Okay, so we'll have to wait for this. Now assuming this is done, all right. Okay, there's, I think, yeah, I think that's all. Um, so this will be a quota. So you can send 200 emails per 24 hours, and you can send one email per second. This is the default quota that you have, and you can see how many sent, how many rejected, how many complaints, how many bounces. All these metrics can be monitored from here. All right. Now, so you can see now this is verified. So that means my SES is still that okay. This is a verified domain, and we can start using this to send out the notifications. So here you can see this send test email, and so from address. So here you can specify. So you can see now domain. This is what will be used to send out the notifications. So let's say I'll say this. So this will be my from address, from at Rabi at cloudtechies.cloud. Now what's your scenario? So this is you want to send out a bounce email or a successful delivery or a complaint or an automatic response. So what do you want to do? So let's say we'll go with custom, and you can specify the customer recipient who should be receiving this notification. So let's specify my email ID, give a subject. So let's say test email from SES. Here you can give the body. So hi, this is a test email from SES service, and click on send test email. All right. Now here, if you see now, this is throwing an error telling that this email ID has not been verified. So the two email ID that you have, even that needs to be verified. All right. So for that, again, under the create identity itself, you see the second option. This is what you will be using. So here you can give the email ID to whom you want to send out the email notification. So what this will do is this will send out a verification email to the mailbox. So whatever your mailbox you have, you will receive a verification email. So you can click on this, and that will verify. So congratulations, you have verified the email address, and now we can start sending out the notification. So if I try this once again, you see this is done. And now if I go and check the mailbox, I should be able to see a notification. So here you can see test email. Hi, this is a test email, and this is what I'm talking about. So now we can use our own domains to send out the email notification. This is where your SES can be useful. And SNS, so this is what your SNS does. So um, so over here, so this is what you will see with your SNS. So SNS will use Amazon's domain, and SES you can use your own domains. Questions?
No, Ravi.
All right.
Ravi, I have one doubt. We need
Yes.
to verify two email address also.
No, only one email address. So
Only.
yeah, two email address. So basically, to whom you want to send out the notification, even that needs to be verified. So it's basically, I cannot spam you. All right.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
destination email that I want to send, right? So
Uh,
if you want to receive a notification, you will need to authorize that, okay, I'm okay to receive an email notification. Like you are telling that,
okay.
okay, you can send a notification to me, right? So it's
Okay.
like you are agreeing. If you don't agree, I cannot send out the notification to you, basically.
Okay. Okay.
Unlike your Gmail, where if I have an email ID, I can start sending out the notification. That is nothing but spamming you, right?
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
because we are using SES, which is your verified domains, the end users needs to accept, telling that, okay, I'm okay to receive the notifications from this domain. Only then I will be able to send out the notifications to you.
Okay. If they reject, we cannot send the SMS notification.
Right. So this one,
The verify.
the verification that you see, if you don't do this, I won't be
Uh,
able to send out the notifications to you. So here you have the option. So you can see your request will not be processed unless you confirm the address using this URL, right? And
okay.
you have the option of unsubscribing at any point you want. You have that option also. But yes, you
Okay.
need to verify this as a customer. You will need to confirm that, hey, you can send a notification to me.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, Ravi.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, pretty much this is how it works. So we have the sender, we use the SES, we have the internet service providers, and using this, we can send out the notifications to your recipients. Now, there are many more features that are available with your SES. You can, you can set up a autoresponder. Like, let's say customer is sending a notification to you, right? We can set up an autoresponder, or someone is creating a ticket, like there's an issue. You can set up a ticket creation tool, which will automatically create a ticket and send a response to the customer telling that, okay, your ticket number is so and so, we have created a ticket. All that information can be done. So there are many things that we can do. We can see there's a complaint that can be registered. Then you can check whether the recipient is available or not, and you can bounce it. So in this case, for example, so let's say test email. So you can see this scenario over here. So if there's a complaint, what should happen? Okay, so you can give the subject, you can give the body something like, okay, thank you for registering your complaint. Someone will reach out to you as soon as possible, right? Likewise, let's say successful delivery. You can set up something for that. Automatic response. You can set up something for that, right? So all these things can be done. So this is pretty much what your SES service is. You can use this to send out notifications using your own custom domains. Questions with this?
No, sir.
All right. The next service that we are going to look at is your Lambda service. So tell me, what is serverless? What is serverless and what is server? Any idea?
Yeah, in last class you explained that AWS will be taking care of everything where we don't have to configure the server. So in that
Mhm.
case, that will be serverless.
Yeah. So now, so generally when we, let's say, you have a code, you have some program, right? Now to execute that program, we need a machine, right? We need storage, we need RAM, we need CPU, we need hard disk. So basically we need everything. And then on that, we can have the code, the script, and we can start executing it. Now there are a couple of ways that you can do this. One is you are going to manage everything. So when I say you are going to manage everything, you will manage the OS, you will manage the storage, the CPU, the RAM, everything will be managed by you. Now that's your server approach. Okay, you are responsible for everything. And then you have your serverless approach, where I'm not going to worry about the hardware. I'm not going to worry about the underlying infrastructure. I'm only going to concentrate on my code. All right, I'm just going to develop the code, and then everything will be taken care by the service provider. And that's your serverless approach. You are not going to be responsible for anything. It could be your patching, it could be your upgrades, your OS, your RAM, your CPU. You are not going to take care of it. Everything will be taken care by the service provider. Now we call that approach as your serverless approach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Your EC2 is a server approach where you are going to manage everything. So you are responsible for the CPU, the RAM, the hard disk, the OS, everything. You are responsible. All right. Now, in AWS, when you talk about your serverless, Lambda is one such service we have. Now, let's say you have some service, you have some code, you have some function that needs to be executed. Now, one way is using the EC2. However, let's say, with the EC2, the problem is that you have to pay the service, the server cost, whether your code is running or not, right? Even if your code is not running, you still have to pay the server cost, right? Because the server cost is calculated in terms of your running. So if the server is running, you have to pay the money for that. Now, what if I want to pay the cost only when I'm running the code? If I'm not running the code, I don't want to pay any money. Then I can make use of your Lambda service. So Lambda is a serverless approach where you're not going to manage everything. So with the AWS Lambda, you can run code without provisioning or without managing any server. So you are not going to be responsible for the servers. You won't be managing any of the servers. You pay only for the compute that you use. There's no charge when your code is not running. So unlike your EC2 instance, that again, right? So if I'm launching an EC2 instance and if the instance is running, let's say, whether my application is running on that instance or not, I will have to pay the money. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now with your Lambda, you're only going to pay the money when you're running the code. If you're not running the code, you don't have to pay any money. And the other thing with this is you don't have to worry about the servers. You don't have to worry about the patching, nothing. So you can run code virtually for any type of application or backend service, all with zero administration. So you won't be doing the admin work. All right, the service provider will take care of the admin work. So just upload your code, and Lambda takes care of everything required to run and scale your code with high availability. So all we have to do is just upload our code. All right. And then Lambda will take care of everything needed for that application to run. Okay. So you can set up your code to automatically trigger from other AWS services or call it directly from any web or mobile app. Any way you want, you can do it. So AWS Lambda is a compute service where you can upload your code and create a Lambda function. And AWS Lambda takes care of provisioning and managing the servers that you use to run the code. You don't have to worry about the operating systems, the patching, the scaling, etc. Nothing. You don't have to worry about any of those things. Everything will be taken care by Lambda for you. So there are different ways that you can use Lambda. You can use it as an event driven. So event driven is you can trigger this Lambda function from other services. For example, if you take an example of your S3 service. Okay, so let me open up the S3 service here. So let's say, whenever anyone uploads data to your S3 bucket, you want to get notified. We can do that. Okay, so here under your properties, if you go to this event notifications, you can create an event notification and when you want to receive. So let's say, these events, and you should be able to see this Lambda function. So I can choose a Lambda function if you have created, right? So what will happen whenever any upload that happens, any of these happens, I can execute some code as simple as sending out an email notification. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can use it as an event-driven compute service where Lambda runs your code in response to events. These events could be changes in data to data in an S3 bucket or an Amazon DynamoDB table as a compute service to run your code in response to HTTP requests. So you can also use it as a API. So you can have your code running as an API, and whenever you do a HTTP call, you can execute this specific Lambda function. So for this, you can utilize the API gateway or API calls made using AWS SDKs. Now, your Lambda supports a variety of programming languages. So you can use C Sharp, Node.js, Java, Python, Ruby. There are many programming languages that your Lambda supports. So whatever you're comfortable with, you can write the code accordingly. So you can search for the Lambda service over here. So that's the Lambda service we have. And here you can, so these are the options here. So you have .NET, Go, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby. You also have a custom runtime. So, if you're looking for something that is not there over here, you can have your own custom runtime. To begin with this, you'll need to create a function first. So you'll need to specify, you can also use existing blueprint. So here you can see there are some examples. Get S3 object, then make an HTTPS request, modify HTTP, return HTTP, then book a trip with Lex. So these are different examples that you have. All right. So just a simple example of get S3 object. Again, you can choose this. This is in the Node.js. This is in the Python. Okay, so depending on what you're comfortable with. So let's say demo, and here will be the code. So it's a Python code. So this is your, we are using Boto here. So Boto is a SDK for AWS. So loading function, we are printing some statement. We are connecting to the S3 service, and here we are defining our function. So first, what we are doing is we are defining our bucket. Okay, so event records S3 bucket name, and then here we are giving the key. The key is nothing but your object. So this bucket, this is the object, and then we are doing a response. So we are trying to do a get object on the bucket on the respective key, and then we are printing the content of this. Okay, and we are writing a response. If there is an error, we are printing this error. Very simple function. So all this is doing is this will go to, you can specify the S3 bucket. So this will go to the specific S3 bucket, right? And it will basically give you the list of objects, the keys that you have in that particular bucket. Like this, you can create your own Lambda functions that will do something within your AWS. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, got it, got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just give me a minute. Mm. Just give me a minute, sorry. All right. Now, as an example, I will show you an example for taking snapshots of your EBS volumes. Okay, one way to take a backup of your EBS volumes. So let me see, where is that example? Okay. So here's the example. All right, so starting from here. Now what this will do is, this is a very simple Python code that I have, which will take a backup of your EBS volumes. Let's know what this will do is this will scan all the EC2 regions, and wherever it finds a volume with the status in use, it will take a snapshot of that. So like I said, we are using Boto 3. So Boto 3 is a SDK that we can use to interact with AWS using programmatically. We're defining a function, and the first thing we're doing here is we're establishing a connectivity to the EC2 service. You're using this Boto 3, and we're telling that I want to talk to the EC2 service. Now, the first thing we're doing here is we're getting a list of all the regions. So we're using EC2, we're describing the regions, and then we are getting all the regions from that. Post that, we are doing a loop. So for each of the regions that we have got over here, we are doing a loop. So checking region, we are printing the name, and then we are connecting to each of those regions one by one. Post that, in each of the region, we are describing the volumes, and we are looking for a volume with the status in use. So basically, what we are doing here is we are we are connecting to the EC2 service. We are scanning all the regions. Okay, so for all these regions, we are going to the EC2 service. Within the EC2 service, we are going to the volumes, and in the volumes, we are looking for, it's not here. So let me launch an instance and then I'll show you. No, just a test server. I won't be doing anything with this. Okay, so for this instance here, we will have the, give it a moment. So here we have the volumes. Now, the volume for this, if you look at this volume, this will have a status, volume state. And you can say this one, this is what we're looking for. So the code, if you see the status, we're looking for the volume in use, the value in use, right? Let me see why it won't show here. Okay, looks like they've updated it. Volume state. Okay, so volume state. So I may have to update this. Okay, I'll see. I'll see. But this is what we're looking for. And then what we're doing is, if there are multiple volumes, again we are doing a loop, and then we are starting to take a backup of it. So basically, what we are doing is we are creating a snapshot. Make sense? This code.
Yeah.
So I'll take this code, and we will create a new Lambda function for this. And let's go with Scratch. We're going to use Python. Python 3.7 should be fine. And now, depending on what you're doing in your Lambda function, now in this case, my Lambda is going to talk to the EC2 service, right? So what do I need for this? My
Security group. I mean role. I am role.
I need an IAM role, right? Because my Lambda is going to talk to another service. So we'll create a new role. Let's create a role for Lambda, and we will give the necessary permissions, right? So because Lambda is a different service, EC2 is a different service, and we know that by default the services, they do not talk to each other. And if you want the services to talk to each other, we can make use of your IAM role for that. So we'll go to roles and we'll create a new role for this, and this role will be for Lambda. Okay, and the permissions we are going to give is EC2 full. We'll give full access, EC2 full access. Then next, let's call this as role for Lambda, and we will create this role. Okay, so that should give the necessary permission. So we'll attach that role over here. So I should be able to see that role over here. And then click on create function. So as you can see here, nowhere we have defined the CPU, the RAM, the storage, nothing, right? Now, once you create this function, you will need to give the code, your actual code. So this is a test code you have. So if you click on this test and just click on save, you will see that, okay, let's test this. So you can see the code is getting executed. Now, in our case, we are going to change this. So we are going to have our own code that we have over here. Okay, so this is my code. We'll deploy this. So deploy is nothing but saving your changes. And once you're done saving those changes, you will need to test this. Now you also have the option of creating test cases. Okay, so this is what we use it for that. Now once you're done doing this, click on test, and you will see this will start executing the code. Okay, so you can see the execution time, and there is a error message because so this is basically giving a timeout error. So you can see task timeout. So by default, your timeout is set to 3 seconds, and depending on the code that you've written, if it needs more time, then you will need to increase the timeout. For that, you can go to configuration, and here you can see the timeout default is 3 seconds. So we'll have to increase this. So let's give it 5 minutes, and we'll save this. We'll again run this. We'll go back to code, and we will run this once again. And now this will start executing. Okay, so now let's wait for this to complete. And done. So here you can see starting from here. So start a request ID, and you can see checking region. So basically this is going to all of these regions, and it is scanning. So you can see checking region, checking region, checking region. And when it came to US East 1, it was able to find this volume. So you can see this is ending with 5E0C. And here if you see this one 5E0C, that's the volume, right? So it was able to find that volume, and it has taken up it has created a snapshot. So if I go and check the snapshot, it will show me that it has created one snapshot for me. What the hell? Okay, these are public snapshots, and here you can see there is my snapshot. So you can clearly see these are created by Lambda backup function EBS snapshots. So if you look at the code, we have defined that. Where is that? Here, created by Lambda backup function EBS snapshots. So like this, we can make use of your Lambda function. So now if you see, we don't have any servers. We're not managing any RAM. We don't manage any CPU. We don't manage any OS, nothing. We are only worried about our code. And all the resources required to run this code is taken care by AWS. That is why this is known as your serverless service. We as a user don't have to worry about the server capacity. Questions?
Got it, Api.
So with this, you can also see under the configuration, there is you get the ephemeral storage, which is a temporary storage of 512 MB. You get a memory of 128 MB. If you want to increase that, you can increase it. You can go up to 10,240 MB of memory capacity and 10,240 MB of storage capacity, right? But depending, again, you don't have to pay money for this. You're only going to pay money for what you're going to use. So if you look at this code that we just executed, if you look at the execution results, here at the bottom, you can see the duration it has taken and your build duration, how much of memory that was allocated and how much of memory it used. This is what you have to pay. Okay, so you're only going to pay for what you're going to use. This is basically what your Lambda service is, right? So you're going to pay for the number of requests. So basically the number of times you're going to execute the Lambda code. So the first million requests are free. After that, you have to pay $0.00065 per million requests. Thereafter, you have to pay for the duration. So duration is calculated from the time your code begins executing until it returns or otherwise terminates, rounded up to the nearest 100 milliseconds. So the time taken to execute the code. So the price depends on the amount of memory you allocate your function. You're charged $0.0001667 for every GB second used. So why is Lambda cool? One, there are no servers involved, so it's completely serverless. Continuous scaling. So AWS will take care of the scalability, the storage, the RAM, and everything, and it is super cheap. Okay, so that's basically your Lambda service. And you also have the option of adding a trigger, like if you want to trigger this Lambda function, so you can choose from where you want to trigger: API gateway, load balancer, CloudFront, code commit, IoT, S3, SNS, SQS. You have other options as well, right? So like auth, so these are all your third party: Datadog, then you have MongoDB, New Relic. So from anywhere you want, you can trigger your Lambda functions, right? um then yeah, I think pretty much that's all I have as part of your Lambda. Yeah, so that's basically your Lambda service. It's a serverless approach, and you can use this to execute your code without managing any servers. Questions?
No, sir.
No, no.
Yeah, but the only thing with this is you should be comfortable with programming. If you're comfortable with programming, then it's a very good service that you have. Cool. Let me see what's next. I think the next service we have is your Route 53. Let's see. Yeah, the next service we're looking at is your Route 53. So 21, 20, 23, yeah, Route 53. So, any idea what is DNS?
So it will store all the websites IP address with its names,
Domain name service.
Yes, but why do we need it?
because we
Uh,
cannot remember the IP address, so we need DNS.
Yes. So, see, we have so many applications running. So we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Amazon, we have Gmail, we have Google.com, so many applications, right? So there are like millions of applications that are running worldwide, right? Now, let's say you want to log into Facebook. Now, let's say there's an IP address. So, see, always there's an IP address associated with an application. It's all these applications, they're deployed on a server, and all these server will have an IP address associated with it. Now, you may remember the IP address once or twice or thrice, but it's not possible for you to remember the IP address always. So, how do we overcome this challenge? That's where your DNS comes in. Now, the whole point of your DNS is to create a user-friendly names that a user can easily remember, right? And then we map this domain, the URL to the IP address. So as a user, whenever we hit the URL, it will redirect to the IP address and give us a response back. So that's where we can easily remember Facebook.com, YouTube.com, Google.com, Amazon.in. All these are your user-friendly names. However, in the back end, it is all mapped to an IP address or to a load balancer that does the actual work for us. Now that's where we can make use of your DNS. So DNS, it stands for domain name service, and we can use this to register your own domains, map your domains to a IP address, and you can share those domain names with your users, and your users can start accessing your application using the domain. Now, when we talk about your DNS in AWS, Route 53 is the service that we have. This is a service which does the DNS work for us. Okay, so again, a very important service, a very commonly used service that we have. So I'll be starting off with that tomorrow. All right, so we'll talk more on this. So I'll show you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll show you how you can register your own domains and how you can map your domains to an IP address and all those things. I'll be showing you tomorrow. Okay. Uh, Let me see something. So we have 25 after Route 53. We have organizations, beanstalk, budgets, should have cost explorer. Um, 30, I'm not gonna do that. KMS, not gonna do that. Let me see. Okay, so Route 53. After that, we'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 more services, and that should complete. So I'm targeting this week. So today's Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm targeting this week to finish off this, so that from next week we can start off with your DevOps. Okay, so Route 53, I'm guessing it will take tomorrow and a bit of day after tomorrow as well. And then the other services, these are very small services, shouldn't take a lot of time for us to complete. But yeah, so I'm targeting this week. Let's see how it goes. Okay.
Sure, okay, fine.
Thanks.
Okay, how long will the DevOps thing will take?
Again, it will take more or less the same time, Prokshit,
Okay.
because we have around 7 tools that we will be covering. So
Okay.
more or less the same time.
Okay, got it. No problem.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow then.
Thanks, Ravi.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.